Hello, everyone. Coming to you live here to talk about healthy and toxic dynamics of a relationship. So, as you guys know, I sometimes answer questions through video, and I got this question about a month ago, and I wanted to make a live on it so that everyone can kind of have a better understanding of what healthy looks like, because I know for myself that I had absolutely no idea what healthy was, that I could attain it, that, what it felt like, and all of the things. And so I'm going to share all of that with you today. And so if you're with me live, go ahead and hashtag live. And if you are watching the replay, go ahead and hashtag replay. And also, I've been doing a fun little game where if you comment winner, you're put in a draw to win a free call. So I just did the draw for the last call that I did. And so if you want to potentially win a call with me, hashtag winner in the comments, and you'll be entered to win that call. Cool. So I got this question, and it said, I need to know in great detail the healthy characteristics of a relationship, how a couple should manage problems in a very healthy, loving way that seems supportive. I've been trying to write it out in detail so I can manifest a new relationship. So first, what the most important thing to recognize here is actually how you want to feel, instead of looking at all these little characteristics that we probably can't define all the way of what somebody should be or how things should look. We really want to focus on the way that we want to feel in connection, because as for myself, as well as many women that I've coached over the years, in my past, I would write out all these characteristics of what I wanted in a future partner, which can be helpful to some degree, but a lot of the time we're going to be searching for something, and then we get the thing, and then we're like, oh, it doesn't feel the way that I thought it would, right? And so the most important thing when calling in a healthy relationship is getting extremely crystal clear on how you want to feel. Because when you know how you want to feel and you cultivate that feeling within yourself, then you're going to be an energetic match for what else would make you feel that way, right? And so in my past, like I said, like I would create like a laundry list of things that I wanted in a partner. He had to look this way. He had to have this kind of job. He had to have all of these little characteristics. And then in my last relationship, I actually got all of that, a lot of what I wanted. And in the end, none of it really mattered because I didn't feel the way that I wanted to feel. And so instead of asking what characteristics do I need to have, or what does this relationship need to look like, we want to be asking, how do I want to feel? So when I was manifesting my now partner, I got crystal clear on how I wanted to feel. I wanted to feel loved. I wanted to feel cherished. I wanted to feel playful. I wanted to feel desired. I wanted to feel sexy. I wanted to feel prioritized. I wanted to feel all of these things. And so I don't know all the ways that I feel those things with somebody else. I just know that I want to feel that way. And so what's beautiful is that we get surprised with how we'll end up feeling that way, because a lot of the times we're like, well, how do I get this? How does this happen? We don't need to know the how, we just need to know the what, and then cultivate the feeling within ourselves. And so when we're thinking of the way that we're wanting to feel, we want to look at what makes us feel that way. How have we felt that way in the past, right? So I feel loved when my partner makes time for me. I feel loved when my partner prioritizes me. I feel loved when my partner stays in bed with me and snuggles all morning before getting up to leave for work. And so we want to get clear on like what makes us feel the way that we do, but also there's going to be things that surprise us in ways that we've never really thought of before. Like the relationship that I have now, I could have never really put it all down on paper. I couldn't have, because there's so many things that I didn't know existed in somebody, right? And so that's the beauty and the magic of this, is that we don't need to know the how. We don't need to have all of these little characteristics and laundry lists down on paper. We just get to decide, okay, I know that I like to feel, what's another good one? I know that I like to feel safe. So I want a partner that makes me feel safe. I want a partner that makes me feel XYZ. And then once you're able to do that, it's like, okay, so how can I do this for myself? How can I start making myself feel safe? I want to feel respected. So how do I respect myself and make sure that I get respect for others, which means you're setting boundaries and you're following through with your word to yourself. If I want to feel cherished, how can I cherish myself? If I want to feel prioritized, how can I prioritize myself? And that's what makes us the energetic match for the relationship that we want. So we don't want to get caught up on all these little pieces because we're not going to know everything. We're just going to be really, really clear on the way that we want to feel and then start creating that for ourselves. If we want a partner to make time for us, we've got to make time for ourselves. A lot of what I see all the time is like women want all of these things from a partner, and then it becomes like this subconscious pressure for this person to meet all of their needs, which isn't possible. And it's like their happiness depends on this person. And that puts subconscious pressure on your partner if you have one, or it puts subconscious pressure on all of the people you're going out on dates with because you're subconsciously seeking, like, okay, so is this person, and it kind of becomes like a job interview, right? It gets really businessy really, really quick. And so when we're like in our head about all these characteristics and looking for these characteristics in a partner when we're on a date, we're automatically in our head. But if we're focused on how we want to feel, then we're in our body, which means we're in our feminine. And so I completely forgot where I was going with the last point that I made. Oh yes. Okay. So I hear all the time from women, and of course I've experienced this in my past, is they want this partner to be all these things for them, but they're not doing it for ourselves. They're not doing it for themselves. And so they're creating all of this subconscious pressure. And when you're putting all of this subconscious pressure on a future partner, you're going to create resistance and it's going to push them away. And so when you are focused on, instead of focusing on their characteristics and how you want to feel, then you're going to actually open your heart more and you're going to receive and allow them to come closer. And so I know that some of you are going to really want like hard, logical, like pinpointed things. And so I actually wrote down examples of what healthy characteristics look for in a partner, but use this, but also focus mostly on how you want to be feeling. So healthy characteristics of a healthy masculine man is he leads, he plans dates, he initiates contact, he makes you a priority, he's consistent, and he's clear about his intentions. His words and actions align. So he's got integrity. He does what he says he's going to do. He's able to communicate his feelings with you. And he's not going to be perfect at this because actually women are kind of the gateway for this. And it's really about our vulnerability allows him to open up and be more vulnerable. So that actually starts with us. But him being able to communicate, like if he's mad or upset or whatever, like he's able to actually say that. He might not be perfect at it, but that is a wonderful characteristic to have in a partner. They take ownership of their behavior. So if they've done something that has made you upset or hurt you in some way, they're able to say, I'm sorry, because that, and actually like own up to what they did. They respect your boundaries. And so this is really important that you have boundaries so that you know when they're being crossed, when you know that they're not being respected. And you can feel that in your body. Sometimes we don't know what all of our boundaries are until they actually happen, until somebody actually crosses them. And then we're like, oh, that didn't feel good to me. This is actually a boundary. They make you feel seen and heard and validated. So they listen to you. He validates your input and your opinions, and he makes you feel safe ultimately. And so what's really cool is I actually asked my boyfriend let me read this to you. I texted him like a couple of weeks ago because I was actually supposed to do this live a couple of weeks ago. And so I texted him a couple of weeks ago and I asked him, I said, I'd love to get your perspective on how a masculine man shows up in a relationship. And this is what he said. And I loved the way that he phrased this because, again, it wasn't about like what specific actions he's doing. It's the way that he's making you feel. And so he said, number one, makes her feel seen, heard, listens to her without judgment, and makes her feel safe to talk about anything with him. Check. And two, he makes her feel safe and secure, safe with him physically and emotionally, and secure in the relationship and with herself. Three, makes her feel sexy, desired, and loved. So you see that through a man's actions, we really don't know how they're going to do this for us quite yet. But the initial thing is that they make us feel a certain way. And then I wrote down some toxic man traits so that you can kind of identify these. And again, if you don't feel good with somebody, then that's a really good indication. Like you should feel good with your person, with your partner or the person that you're dating most of the time. Again, it's not going to be 100%, but most of the time you should feel safe, loved, valued, prioritized, cherished, all of the things. You should feel that way with your partner. And if you don't feel good this way with the person that you're dating, or maybe you had, they're everything on this laundry list that you have, but it still doesn't feel good, then again, it doesn't matter what's on that list. It matters about the way that you feel. And so, yes, look at these toxic traits, take what resonates. But ultimately, if you don't feel good with this person, if they make you feel chaotic, if things are, if there's highs and lows, if you feel a lot of anxiety with them. And again, we have to be really, really clear about our own feelings in the sense of if you have anxious attachment, if you have disorganized attachment, if you have attachment trauma, get really clear on your self-discovery about your attachment style so that you know what's your shit and what's somebody else's that's triggering your shit. Okay. So in a relationship, or in a dating experience, these are some toxic traits that I have written down. So he talks badly about his ex or others excessively. We all talk shit to some degree, right? And a lot of us don't have it's not like I sit around and like, my ex is so great. Like I don't excessively talk bad about my ex, but I'm also not like, oh my God, he's so amazing. So if he talks badly about his ex or others excessively, then that's a red flag, like always talking about his crazy ex or the crazy women that he's dated in his past. He's rude to others in front of you. So like waiters, staff, valets, people like that, his family. He mentions that he doesn't want commitment. So if you are wanting commitment and he mentions that he does not want commitment, that is a red flag for you. If you don't want commitment, then it doesn't matter. But don't say that you don't want commitment, hoping that he'll end up falling in love with you, because it doesn't work. I did that for 3 years with somebody and it was not a fun game to play. So, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard this story, but when it came down to when I essentially was dating somebody for 3 years that only wanted to be my friend, he told me in the very beginning that he wasn't looking for a relationship. And I took it upon myself, being codependent as shit at the time, that I could change him. He could see how amazing I was, and that would change his mind. 3 years wasted. It did not work. So if that is, something that you tend to do, just take inventory of that and decide what you're going to do with it. He excessively uses alcohol and drugs. So again, like you can decide what excessively means for you. You can date somebody that doesn't use drugs and alcohol at all, or if somebody's using it recreationally, again, like you have to decide what you're comfortable with. He makes you feel bad for him. So if he guilt trips you or tells you, he kind of plays the victim in his life. He's jealous and possessive. He gives backhanded compliments. So if he is, what would, I can't even think of what a backhanded compliment example would be right off the top of my head. I'll I'll think about it later. He tries to secure a commitment way before what's comfortable. And so I see this a lot. And this happens when you don't have boundaries, when you don't have standards, and you get caught up in like the oxytocin love bombing phase. And so if he's trying to secure a commitment after like the second, third date, be aware of that. And I know that it will feel good for your ego and your codependency, where it's like, oh my gosh, this guy's in love with me already, and he thinks that I'm the most amazing person. That is most likely a trap. So, you know, that's what we've known about narcissists forever. That's, you know, one of the big red flags with them is that they love bomb, they try to secure a commitment very early on so that you are manipulated and trapped inside a relationship with them. So if he's trying to secure a commitment way before what's comfortable, and maybe it is comfortable for you to have that secured commitment early on, but it's, if relationships, I always tell this to my clients, like relationships that start off hot tend to burn quickly. So use your discernment here. He's very surface level and can't have emotionally intimate conversations. Again, this is not men's like strong suit to begin with. So if they're a little wobbly with it, that's totally fine. It's like again, you're creating safety by being vulnerable and being connected with your emotions for someone else to be able to open up to theirs. So somebody could be completely emotionally unavailable with one person and completely emotionally available with another due to the safety of that person. And so again, you go first and the universe responds, right? He crosses your boundaries. So if you tell him that you don't like something or that something is a boundary and he pushes that and he tries to coax you out of your boundary, then that is a red flag. You feel disrespected by him. He minimizes your feelings or your concerns. Maybe he tells you that it's not a big deal. That's something to keep your eye on. He denies your reality. So this is gaslighting. If something definitely happened or you feel a certain way and he's telling you it didn't happen or that's not true, again, that's a really big red flag that a lot of us have experienced in narcissistic relationships. He gives you the silent treatment when you don't behave the way that he wants. So I used to experience this. The guy that actually put me in the hospital years ago with a concussion, one of the things he would do to me all the time that was so awful was like whenever he got jealous or whenever he was mad at me for something, instead of like telling me, hey, this upset me or this hurt me, he would just silent treatment me and completely cut me off. He'd ignore my texts, my calls, and essentially act like I didn't exist. He tries to control you. If he's trying to control where you are, who you're with, what you do. If he tries to isolate you from your family, those are big red flags. Your intuition tells you something isn't right. And so this is why trusting yourself and getting to know yourself is so important, so that you can recognize when it's fear and when it's intuition. So your intuition is more of a gut feeling, and you can ask yourself, when was a time that my intuition told me something was right or wrong? And I either listened or I didn't listen. Because when you can identify that feeling, it gets you more familiar with that feeling and more familiar with yourself, so that you can get really, really good at listening to your intuition. And this isn't going to be 100% all the time. So, you know, for those of us perfectionists out there, you're just going to have to be okay with being messy around this. He isn't consistent with communication. So if, you know, he plays hot and cold, if he comes on really strong and then he falls off. That's not good for our nervous system. We don't want to be put in an experience like that. He doesn't ask you questions about yourself. Maybe he is so focused on him, what his needs are, what's going on in his life, and he doesn't really try to get to know you. That's a way that you can tell that maybe this relationship isn't right for you. And so all of these to be said, they make you feel a certain way. They make you feel icky. They make you feel weird. They make you feel frustrated. They make you feel anxious. Our goal with relationships is to find the person that you are so fucking compatible with that you feel good with them most of the time, right? So a lot of us out here are trying to make these incompatible relationships work and trying to force them. They're trying to force relationships with avoidance. They're trying to force relationships with emotionally unavailable men that aren't capable of having the emotional kind of relationship that these women want. So we want to find somebody that is so compatible with us that we can live a life with them that feels easy and blissful and joyful, and have somebody that has the same communication style as you, or has the same way of conflict with you, so that you can have a relationship that feels good, because that's the ultimate goal. Like, love shouldn't be painful. Or is love hard sometimes? Is there going to be difficulties? Is there going to be fights? Absolutely. But the most important thing is that it's how you handle that conflict with that person, because every conflict that you have is an opportunity for repair and closeness. And a lot of the times with these incompatible relationships, they're continuing to crack and break, and they're not being repaired properly. So I would say that, just to recap everything we just talked about, the biggest thing that I work on with my clients is getting clear on how you want to feel, because all of these toxic traits that I just mentioned, they make you feel a certain way. All of the positive, healthy characteristics of a masculine man make you feel a certain way. And so if you can get clear on how you feel, you're going to be way more capable of trusting yourself and knowing when something feels wrong or something feels off. Because again, if we're just going off a list of these characteristics of a relationship, it takes us out of our body, and we need to be really familiar with our feelings and connected with our hearts. And so that is the biggest thing that I can say for all of you that are looking to call in a healthy relationship, and you're like, I have no idea what the hell this looks like. You do, by the relationship that you have with yourself. And so, like I said, I teach all of my clients that this is how you manifest a relationship. A healthy relationship is by creating a relationship with yourself, with how you want to feel, and essentially I don't even know where the heck I was going with that word. My daughter's homesick from school today. I'm still in my robe. Today's been a day already, but being able to know how you want to feel how you want to feel is going to make you an energetic match for that. And so it's all about the be, do, have. You be the type of person that would have the relationship, you do the things that would get you the relationship, and then you have the relationship. So that's what I would say is the most important things when you are looking to call in a partnership. You're manifesting it, you're journaling on it. How do I want to feel? How can I feel that way now? What actions do I need to do? What actions do I need to stop doing? And then surrendering and releasing it. Cool. So I hope that this was helpful for all of you. And I will be doing another post asking what questions that you have so I can answer more of these on video. All right. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.